Here today with Coach Casey Fair, and we're talking all things pitching. And specifically, right now, I want to discuss the weight room. Pitchers in the weight room, and just let's just start with what are you feeling like is a good thing about the pitchers in the weight room right now?
Yeah, first off, I'm just very excited about the shift that's happening with the thought process of baseball players and pitchers specifically in the weight room. I know as early as 10 years ago, it was baseball players didn't lift, especially pitchers didn't lift. You're scared of getting hurt. You're scared of them getting stiff. All these irrational fears that we had seem to be totally out the window. So it used to be, cutting edge for baseball players to be in the weight room, and now it's the standard. So that's very encouraging, and I'm happy to see that. And we're seeing the fruits of that, right? You're seeing exit velos skyrocket. You're seeing 60 times a plummet, and you're seeing pitching velocities skyrocket. And I think
Yeah,
that's absolutely to 100% to do with the weight room
yeah,
and guys getting bigger, faster, stronger.
yeah, yep, yeah. That's awesome. I mean, like you said, this time of year we're heading into October, November in the Midwest, and uh, you know baseball players have an expectation now that they're going to be developing, that they're going to be getting bigger, faster, stronger, and impacting their game from that. So that expectation that the players have, and not just the coaches, definitely feels like there's a positive shift that has occurred there.
Mhm.
What do pitchers, when you're giving pitchers advice this offseason in the weight room, maybe what do they need to focus on more?
Well, first off, get in there. Get in there, get in there, get in there. Don't 1, 2 days a week is not enough. Get in the weight room, learn to love it. It will change your life. I tell guys all the time, if baseball ended tomorrow for you, the weight room will still positively affect your life for years and years and years to come. Mental health, physical health, all that stuff. So get in there is number one. Number two, I think we've done a great job of good programming and getting into just more baseball specific stuff. So I guess I'll make that number two is make sure your training is more baseball specific. We have a lot of guys that are still doing like football style workouts in the weight room, and that can be counterproductive. We can be talking about an increased risk of injury if we're doing the wrong workouts for us. So getting an assessment is very important, and then making sure you're doing workouts that are meant for you and to make you better. And the third one is something that we've talked about more recently, which is like a preventative PT, like preventative physical therapy. So we see a lot of neglect in our posterior chain, and it's really our brake system as pitchers. So seeing a lot of like rotator cuff, labrums, shoulder things that are stemming from just not being able to take the brunt force that we are increasing. So, like we said the weight room and getting bigger, faster, stronger. We're throwing it harder, we're swinging it harder, we're running faster. Our body also has a brake system, so it has to be able to withhold that type of force. And I think that's something that we are still missing is preventative PT, especially in the posterior chain, to help take the brunt of that force and start to decrease the risk of those nagging injuries, those weak rotator cuffs, those strains that we have, those setbacks that we have, and then as well with the lower back is something that we see too.
Mhm.
With being a rotational athlete, golf and baseball, rotating with the spine is not something we are biologically meant to do this often that our sports asked us to do. So it creates some nagging lower back and lumbar spines. So preventative PT for that as well. A lot of mobility within the hamstrings and the
Yeah.
hips, strengthening the core, strengthening the posterior chain in the lower back. Stuff that is just preventative is knowing that those things are a common issue in our sports and getting ahead of them instead of waiting for it to flare up and then trying to respond.
Yeah. Just for the anybody that's kind of following along here, what specifically when you talk posterior chain with pitchers, like what muscle groups and what areas are you really referencing?
Yeah, so posterior, just thinking the entire backside.
Yeah.
You're going to anterior is the entire front side, posterior is the entire back side. So when you're thinking of rotator cuffs and weak stuff, you're thinking T spine. You're thinking thoracic spine is really the low hanging fruit. There is the most common lumbar spine, and then cervical spine as well. So anything that has to do within the back is very important. Our spine is very very important, so we want to make sure we're protecting that, and then our hips as well.
Hmm. So when you say preventative PT, I mean, a lot of times we think of PT as getting me back from an injury or getting me, back in the game from being hurt. What kind of maybe hit on that a little bit more? What do you mean by preventative? Obviously, strengthening it up before something happens, right?
Yeah, for sure. Going to see, when I say PT, get involved with a physical therapist. Get involved and find someone that can work on you pre-injury. A lot of times we see a physical therapist after we have something hurt. And if we would have done preventative PT and seen them before, they could actually pinpoint deficiencies that we have before they become an issue. And that's really the name of the game. That's the next level stuff. So I think that's important. Find a PT, start working with them before things happen, and stay off the table.
Yeah. I had a recent conversation with a PT one time, and he said he was talking about the rotator cuff, and he talked about how it's somewhat common when guys are in the weight room that they might add in a little extra core or a little extra something else, but he just wanted to encourage, especially pitchers, like you should be adding in a little extra band work or a little extra small muscle work around your rotator cuff. He really believed in that idea of extra preventative stuff near the rotator cuff.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Anything that we can do to get ahead. It's like going to tutoring in school, right? If you wait till you're behind the class and you're
Yeah.
failing to go to tutoring, it's going to be hard to get back up into good standings. If you recognize, or if you find someone that can recognize that you're not so good at the subject, and you can go to tutoring beforehand while you're still, ahead,
Yeah.
then um, we're not in so much of a hole. We don't even ever have to get there. We can get on top of it. So I like to, that's my analogy there, is tutoring in school is preventative PT. If you know, or someone else can point out that you may be deficient in something, get on top of it, and don't wait until it's too late.
Awesome. Good advice. Get in the weight room. Love it. Pitchers. Find programming that's specific to your movements and your mobility. And then be preventative and do some preventative PT, and especially focusing on that posterior chain, which is our brake system, as we continue to increase velocity levels. So, all right. Awesome. Good advice. Thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you.